We just found out that Maeve has this lovely baby named Armadora, which means gift of love in Italian. So we are on chapter 37. Notice that these chapters are quite short, some of them. And there are many of them. It goes up into the 50s. 51, I think it said. All right. Many in the neighborhood didn't approve of an unmarried Irish woman raising an abandoned Italian baby. How dare they? Now remember, this was many years ago. Now things are much different. People talked as they will, and they tissed as they must. Some people were even angry. They said hurtful things. They told Maeve and Armadora didn't belong. They told Maeve she and the baby should leave. We've heard that word before, haven't we? Maeve merely smiled, held Armadora close, and waited and hoped. On dark nights when hope was scarce, she would sing an old Irish tune mixed with a newer Italian song that she had learned. Of an Italian song that she had learned from a neighbor. The melody was sweet, the words were silly. The effect was always the same, a smile from little Amma. Sure enough, the longer Maeve waited, the kinder people grew, and before long Amma, as she came to be called, was as much a part of our messy garden as the rest of us. And when Amma was old enough to feed Squibbles and his family, she did. When she was strong enough to climb me, she did. And when she was ready to make wishes of her own, she did. Amma grew up steady and honest and kind, like her mother, and had babies of her own, and then grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Eventually, Amma and her husband bought the little brown house and the one right next to it, and they painted them blue and green. Years later, they purchased the house across the street and began to rent the blue and green houses to the other families. The family grew and prospered and argued and failed and loved and laughed. Always and forever, the laughter kept them going. And when Amma's grandson had a little girl, he chose a fine Italian name for her with a fine Irish middle name, Francesca Maeve. So the little girl, Armadora, she had children and then grandchildren and then great-grandchildren. And when Amma's grandson had a little girl, so this would be the great-grandchild, she named her Francesca Maeve, which we find out is Francesca who wants to cut Red down. Chapter 38. As for me, my reputation grew. Hadn't Maeve's wish come true in the heart of a Wishtree? Didn't that mean anything was possible? Of course, as Squibbles often reminded me, I'd had nothing to do with it. This isn't a fairy tale, Red, he would say. But people are full of longings, and decade after decade the hopes kept coming. A blessing and a burden it had been, all those wishes, all those years. But everyone needs hope. I find it interesting that we have read 2 books that had to deal with making wishes, because we all need hope, right? We all need to think that there could be more. Chapter 39. At long last, I stopped talking. Once the words had spelt out, it was like trying to stop the wind. In the silence that followed, I felt as if the whole world was holding its breath. I'd broken the rule. Stefan and Samar still stared, open-mouthed, at me. They looked as rooted to the ground as I was. Neither had uttered a sound while I told my story. The front door to Stefan's house opened. "Stefan?" called his father. "What the heck are you doing, young man?" Stefan leaped to his feet. Here I come, Dad. Night, Samar." "Night, Stefan," she said. Stefan dashed towards the porch, but stopped halfway. He spun around and looked at me. "Thanks," he said in a quizzical voice, using the same tone he might have used if Bongo had just made him pancakes. The door slammed behind him. Samar stood holding her blanket to her chest. "I know I must be dreaming," she said. She headed it to her own porch and eased open the door. "I just wish," she added with a smile, "that I didn't have to wake up." So she likes that dream that she's in. I hope everyone has a fabulous weekend. I hope you all have a wonderful May Day. Miss you all so much. Have a great one. Bye.